Okay, everybody, welcome back to Daisies with me, your host, kind of Daniel. You always know it. I keep saying that, but it's me. I'm Daniel. I am the creator of Daisies, which is this podcast. This is the third episode, and it's the one that you guys have all been waiting for. It's the Italy trip episode where I'm going to talk about my little cute study trip to Italy. And I'm just going to take you guys through my whole trip and my experiences and my opinions and my impressions of Italy. Now, okay, I have been in Italy before. This is my first time in Italy. But I haven't been to the places where I traveled before. I have been in Rome once time before. That was also a study trip. And I really liked Rome. Ever since, it was like about, I don't know, like 3 years ago, I was in Rome. And I really enjoyed my time there. It's a beautiful city. I just really like the people in at least Rome at the time. And like no matter where you go in the country, I feel like it's always beautiful. The scenery is always great, and everything is just beautiful. Okay, wait. I didn't expect to talk so much right at the beginning, so I'm kind of already out of breath. It's not typical, okay? I'm sorry. I was just 8. That besides the point. But Italy is just always beautiful, and I have really fond memories from Rome. I really liked my time there, so yeah. And this time, the study trip was for architecture school. Some of you might know. I don't know if you actually know. I study architecture, and we had a study trip where we first were supposed to visit Milan, and then we went to Verona, and then to Venezia, or Venice. That's probably the English word for it. Yeah, Venice. Yeah, we were supposed to just look at architecture, really, visit some museums, and just experience the culture and mostly the architecture, to be honest. I guess I'm not too crazy about that, but it was cool, I guess. But let's just start. So, on Sunday morning, I took the airplane from Denmark to Milan. That went pretty fine. I had some issue with hostels because I booked the whole trip like last minute. I was not actually planning on going on this study trip because I didn't really like the planning of the whole trip. We had to book everything ourselves. I'm not used to that, and I just thought it was somewhat messy, the whole planning of it. But last minute, I just said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to Italy. So, I booked really last minute. And with my last minute booking, I booked just some random cheap hostel in Milan. And then after the fact, I decided to read some reviews for the hostel, which was not great. People told me, or nobody told me, but the reviews said that the hostel was really bad. Like the conditions were unbearable. And some people said that they experienced homeless people just going into their rooms, which was pretty wild. There were some mentions of bed bugs, and if you don't know about bed bugs, you don't want them. They are going to fuck up your whole trip if you do get them. and also your life when you get get home. So you don't want to mess with a place with bed bugs. But people also like just said that were super noisy. The surrounding areas was just all god awful, with the people, a bit shady people maybe, were roaming around outside a hostel. So I told my mom, and she was like, "No, you're not going to sleep there. No, no way you're sleeping at that hostel." So yeah, I guess I said fine, and just went with no plan on going there. So I kind of just uh, joined someone else from class and just joined the same hostel. It was a pretty nice hostel. I enjoyed it quite a lot. It was my first time at the hostel, so that was kind of interesting. Uh, yeah, my first experience was that I kind of just went straight to the hostel when I arrived. I got a room. It was a 6 bed room, and it was just me and another guy. He was pretty nice, but I never really saw him. But it was just us, and I did realize pretty quickly how it's probably better to be a lot of people in a room, instead of just two strangers. It feels a bit more unsafe when you're just alone with someone else. And I feel like all the sounds you made, and if you just hanging out at the room, it was just so more noticeable that you two were there. So it was kind of difficult to be just two people there, but it ended well, so it wasn't a problem. But still, you know. But then I basically just went straight from the hostel to our first meeting place, which I actually do not remember the name of. But there's some castle. We're just supposed to go there and walk around and draw. I barely did that. I just walked around, looked. I was a bit late because I wanted to get some food. Like the plane landed like just before we were supposed to meet, almost. So I didn't have a lot of time to eat. So I just kind of rushed to get something to eat. But then I ended up coming late to our meeting spot. So they had already like started to walk around. So when I arrived, I had like 15 minutes to draw. So I didn't really get to do anything. But then we just moved onwards from there to. It's pretty bad that I don't remember the name, but it's like a huge church in Milan. Wait, I'm going to find the name, because you need to know the name. It's the Milan Cathedral. That was not really hard. The Milan Cathedral. We walked from that castle over to the cathedral, which is amazing, by the way. It's a beautiful structure. It's pretty wild, to be honest. Like, the whole Italy trip was pretty surreal, because all the buildings are just so damn beautiful and amazing, and everything is just eye candy. So everything it just doesn't really feel real all the time. But yeah, the cathedral was beautiful. We just went there, had a short introduction, and then we just split up again to either let's draw the cathedral or just walk around. So me and another guy, we went to what was supposed to be like one of the first shopping malls, kind of, which is the big building with like super high roof. It was just ornamented beautifully. It's basically where you find all the super luxury brand shops. There were Gucci and Louis Vuitton and Prada and Dior, and just all the luxury brands were in this beautiful building, which was it was an outside inside type area. It's definitely a place you visit, so you know that. I don't really like fuck with luxury brands, but it was really interesting to experience the different stores and just the culture around them. and see how they were designed and how everything was. So me and I guess my buddy, we we wanted to enter the stores just for fun. It's kind of fun to visit like high-end stores, just because. So we went in first to Gucci, which was an experience. Like, I got a problem with the luxury brands, especially when you're not the kind of guy that buys that kind of stuff, because we were followed like crazy when we entered Gucci. They were like, they greeted us, which is always nice, but then we were followed up to the men's section by the lady, and when we came up, just behind us, like a big ass security guard just followed us. Like, he was always in our eyesight. Like, you could always kind of see him lurking and looking at us, which was extremely uncomfortable when you're visiting a store. I don't know, like, let me just look at things. You probably have cameras and stuff. You don't need like the big guy lurking behind us and the fucking sales lady that followed us up. Like, can we just look around by ourselves? We don't. It was like a bad experience, the whole Gucci store. So up your game, Gucci. I like some of those things, but I don't really vibe with that brand, to be honest. It's more just fun, just because it's the name. It's just the name. It's Gucci. It's kind of silly, Oh, I'm just wearing Gucci. I don't know. It rolls off your tongue pretty nice, and it's just, I feel like it's more of a meme now, to be honest. Just funny. But yeah, up your fucking game, because I don't want to be followed when I'm shopping or just looking. Okay? Like, fuck off. Leave me alone. Let me look at things and think by myself without feeling like I'm being eyed like crazy. I was eyed enough at my job. I didn't. Fuck you. Yeah, I just had a bad experience at Gucci. But then I visited Louis Vuitton, which was full of people. There were so many people there, and they didn't have that issue because there wasn't so many people. So you weren't followed around, but it was just so many people inside Louis Vuitton, and nothing they had was actually nice looking. Just ugly. Everything from Louis Vuitton is just ugly. I don't like anything about the clothes. It's just the LV all over everything. It's just branded like crazy, and I feel like just branding is ugly in general. I don't really like branding on clothes. It's it's not nice. It's just really show offy, and it's just ugly. It's dumb. Like, don't do that. So I didn't like that store either. The design, the interior design of the store was pretty nice. I did recognize that, but it was too many people, and the items were ugly. So no thanks. We also we tried to visit, I think, Prada, but we were told to wait, so we said fuck that and just didn't visit it. So yeah. So we could just continued walking down the shopping street of Milan, which is, there's so many stores. Like, you can like imagine all stores, like clothing brands, and just imagine like the wildest displays those different stores can do. It was like the showcase of all the brands. All the stores were so over the top on interior design and marketing in every single store. It was wild. It was pretty amazing to. I really like to look at all the different ways the store chose to display their selections of clothing, but it was pretty crazy. There was some really cool way of displaying clothes and commercials. It was pretty cool, and the architecture is pretty cool too. There's more modern architecture there, so it was kind of cool to see how that merged with the cathedral and some of the other older buildings. I think it did it pretty well. So Pretty great, pretty nice. Yeah. So while we walked in the street, all of a sudden I could see a glass building, just glass, like a thin, tall, uh, rectangular box of glass, and I was like, wait, that's a design that I recognize, like a lot. So I was like, bro, that's fucking Apple, and. You don't know this, but I know this, and some people that know me know this, but I'm a fucking big Apple fanboy. Or I really like Apple. I like them, like, for, I don't know, since ever, to be honest. And I just, oh, that's an Apple store. And I just realized I have never been in an Apple store my whole life. And it's probably pretty super, like, dumb and stupid that someone, like, really wants to, like, visit an Apple store. But I've always wanted to visit an Apple store, and there it was. I just found it randomly. I didn't even think about. Oh my god, there's an Apple store here. Of course there are. So I, of course, went in. And it was beautiful. I think it's pretty different from some of the other Apple stores, somewhat, because it's pretty interestingly designed. It's really cool design, the whole building, and it was awesome. Just to visit the Apple Store. The architecture of the building is awesome and great, and everything was beautiful. So you probably should Google it. I might have to put some pictures in the video format of the podcast, so people have some reference of the different buildings I'm talking about. Might be some videos. I filmed a lot while I was there, so yeah, I will show you. But yeah, that Apple Store, awesome. Just super late disclaimer: the whole Milan trip, or the Milan section of the trip, was really mostly just stores and shopping. That's like my main takeaway from Milan, which is not odd at all because it's pretty much just a fashion capital. When you think about it, that's where like the big brand live. Or like really push it, and you really see it in the people as well. I think that's a big impression I got from Milan, is that everybody is wearing luxury brands. Like everybody is wearing Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Dior, I don't know, Dolce Gabbana, you name it, they're wearing it. So yeah, some people have pretty good styles, and some people had pretty bad style but expensive, and everybody took the metro, which was stacked with people, and I hated my metro experience. Mainly, it was easy to understand, but there's just so many people and it's so loud, and yeah, like people are really fashion obsessed, and how you look was really important. At least that's how I felt. In that city, like really judgy people. Their eyes were, it just felt judgy in a way. I don't know. I felt kind of outplaced somewhat. But yeah. So me and my buddy, we then proceeded. He really wanted to visit the Ralph Lauren store. And I said, fine, that would probably be interesting. Why not? So I joined him to the Ralph Lauren store. So we entered, and damn, that was pretty nice. My whole experience with the Ralph Lauren store was awesome. The staff was super nice. Everything was just beautiful. And we were treated super friendly, and they were so nice, and great experience. So if you ever visit Milan, I guess you should probably go there. I went back, but we will come back to that later. So yeah. Then if I'm not wrong, I visited we went to like a Sarah, no, not Sarah, a Hadid, you know, the architect. Is it Sarah? It's not Sarah. It's Hadid. God damn it, man! I need to know my architects. I should. I know the architect, Zaha Hadid. Yeah, we visited one of her buildings, or the company architecture studios building in Milan, and I don't know, kind of overrated, not that special. Like that district of Milan was kind of boring, to be honest. It was pretty like modern architecture, I guess, really like digitalized buildings, but it wasn't really that capturing. It was pretty boring. It was cool, somewhat cool, but it wasn't that special. It was underwhelming. It was underwhelming. So, yeah. Then we went, me and like half the class, us from the third year. We were second and third year students on the trip. So we from the third years went to a restaurant and ate some food. And that's kind of wrapped up the first day of Milan. A long day. But yeah, so I went to sleep. Went pretty nice. Next day, I decided, fuck it. I wake up early, so I'm just going to go for a run in the morning. So that was really cool way to get to know the city of Milan, at least my area. Just went on a run around. Just got to see the city in the morning, like as everybody woke up and got to work. I think going for a run in the different places you go on holiday is a great way to get to really know the city, because you get to watch the city wake up, and you watch how everything are like, and you get to like visit new places, which is awesome. You don't like just visit some random park, but you do it if you're on a run. And you don't just see like a cool street by just walking on the main tourist attractions. So going on a run on trips are awesome. Like, do that now if you're on the trip. I don't know if you are, but if you are, go for a run. You really get to know the city. Yeah. I went on a run, and then we were supposed to meet at the museum, the Fondanza Prada, I believe the name of the museum was. Pretty cool museum, actually. They have some nice architecture. The exhibitions were pretty cool too. Some were pretty boring, like lackluster. You know, typical modern art, which can be a bit like, you don't really get it. It's kind of boring, to be honest. Like, it feels low effort, some of it. Like, oh, it's cool, but why? Like, I don't get it. Sometimes. But it's also kind of motivating, because you feel like, oh, wait, I can just do that and call it art? Okay, that means I might be able to do my other ideas, and people will actually like kind of buy it. So that's kind of nice to like know that people are able to, or people do accept some just random art. So I don't mind. Why not? They also had an exhibition of the set pieces from the movie Asteroid City by Wes Anderson, which was pretty cool to see for a movie lover like me. Now we are out here rhyming. It's pretty cool to see for a guy like me. Riddle me this, Batman. Yeah, it was pretty cool. They had the costumes and some set pieces from the movie. The movie itself, I have only watched half of it, because I found the movie to be really boring and uninteresting, and it was more just aesthetics. It wasn't really a movie, in my opinion. But yeah, it was cool to see set pieces and see how much work is actually like put into practical effects of movies, and just see things that have been on movie set was awesome, because I would love to be a part of the team that makes that kind of stuff, or like be a part of the whole production. So that was really cool to look at, just because of that. And it was just, interesting vibes, I guess. And the museum was pretty cool. And then we walked from the museum to another, like a park, to look at some school. And that was kind of also lackluster. It was boring. It was boring. It was cool design on the school, but we weren't allowed inside, so we didn't like get to see that much. Yes, so yeah. So I just sat on the outside and had a coffee for. It was pretty cheap coffee at the school, of course. Student prices, pretty nice. I paid like €1 for a cup of coffee, Americano. I'm basic like that. I'm a basic bitch drinking Americano in Milan at a school, which I don't even attend. I just drew some a little bit because why not? That was kind of what you had to do on an Italy trip, was to draw. So I did draw at the cafe by the school. And there was a lady on the other table that started to talk to me and my buddy. And she told me about her son, which was really nice. It's just nice that people kind of just talk to us. She was mainly intrigued by us sitting and drawing. I guess it's kind of interesting to experience artists in the wild. So she just started to talk to us about her being a creative and creating stuff, which I think is awesome that people do. That's not something you do in typically in Norway or in Denmark. You don't just talk to strangers. But when people do, I just love it. It's so fun to talk with strangers. I don't know. It feels like I feel like we're humans again. I feel like, oh wait, we are all equal. We can just talk to each other. Like, why not? But I personally could never like actually start a conversation. But if people like start to talk to me and it's interesting, I wouldn't mind talk to them. I think it's just nice that we can like have a conversation. But I could never, because I feel like if I tried, people will be like, "Oh my god, this guy doesn't shut the fuck up." Like, "Oh my god, this stranger's talking to me. What a fucking weirdo." But when like strangers talk to me, I just think it's great. It's fun. It's cool to have a conversation. Why not? Let's get to know each other, you know? Sit down and have a conversation for once. Like, yeah, it was pretty cool. Later that night, I was supposed to meet my buddy again at the Ralph Lauren bar. Because they also had a bar / restaurant. So I was just walking around, and I then proceeded to walk towards the restaurant. And on my way, I showed my family around the fashion district of Milan and the cathedral. So I walked around in the city of Milan with my phone. Oh wait, I actually forgot. We also visited another school, which was really cool. It's like really brutalistic building, and we actually managed to like get into the school. We kind of sneaked in, and that was pretty cool. But that wasn't. There's not so much to say about that. I also visited a vintage shop, which is where I bought this shirt. That is also why I'm wearing it, because I wore it for most of the trip. I committed to the shirt. But yeah, so I FaceTimed my family while I was in Milan. So I just walked around with my phone, just showing them around in the streets, which was pretty fun. I really felt like I was walking Phoenix in Her, if you know that movie. Especially because I was wearing the red shirt, and there was actually a point where I put my phone in my left pocket, I think or my right pocket on my shirt, and just walked around talking to them while they could see everything from my perspective, which was, I don't know, it felt really surreal. I didn't even think about it before, like after the fact. Like I was, holy shit, I basically just lived Her, but with my whole family in my ears. Which was awesome. It was just cool to show them around the city, and also kind of get to see the city in a new perspective. And I also got to see everything in the evening, because when we were there earlier, the day before, it was day, and I got to see it during the night, and everything was still open, like super late. It was dark. But yeah, so on my way to the Ralph Lauren store after I'd shown around, I saw a Ferrari shop, and I was like, wait. I didn't know Ferrari made fucking fashion. I was what? And I really liked the displays that they showed in the store. It was really cool design, the clothes. It was kind of like a Balenciaga. I could really see the Balenciaga influence on the clothes. Maybe a little bit of Rick Owens in the mix too. Like really cool modern clothing, like dark, of course. And I went in because fuck it, I really like the clothes. So I wanted to look at it. And first of all, the interior was pretty cool. They had like an F1. I don't really care about cars that much, but they had like a F1 hanging from the ceiling, like a whole big ass fucking racing car from the ceiling and down, and they had like a stair going around it, like it was the centerpiece of the whole building. It was pretty cool. But I just looked around. I felt all the eyes were on me because it was just me and all the employees. But then I asked if I could like go down the stairs, because they had like a showroom with different like model cars and like special items connected with the cars, Ferrari cars. And asked if I could go down, and they told me yeah. And this one lady, she followed me down, and yeah, she just told me about the different things they had and what she liked. And they also had like miniature Ferraris, and she told me that a lot of people often ask them to make a model of their car, their own car. They want their own car made in a mini scale so they can show it off in the bookshelf or something, I guess. And she also showed me some real pieces from the cars that they also sold, like on a little display, because why not? Some people want a Ferrari part in their bookshelf. And then she also showed me her favorite piece, which was like a limited book that she had to wear gloves to open and look at. So that was really cool to just look at and have a conversation with her. And then we span into, because down in the basement area with the different pieces of models and whatnot, they also had like a big they had like a projector that showed like a projection of the walkway or runway from the Ferrari collection. And then all of a sudden me and this employee at the Ferrari store are talking about fashion, and especially how Ferrari's approach to fashion are, and how they want to like do different stuff in fashion and evolve from just cars. And they also just want to remove like the whole Ferrari logo because it's kind of cheesy on clothes. It kind of feels cheap, and they kind of want to like be a statement just with their fashion and the look of the clothes. I was so cool that I just had like a super long conversation with this lady in Ferrari about fashion and different things. And she had studied fashion, and she thought I was a style or worked in fashion, which is just a compliment. I was like, oh no, I studied architecture, but thank you. And she actually had written a thesis about architecture and fashion. And like all of a sudden I'm talking with this lady for so long about fashion and architecture and Ferrari, and it was so cool. Time flied when I was at the Ferrari store. I didn't buy anything because expensive, but it was so cool to just have a conversation with someone like that again. So then I went in to the Ralph Lauren restaurant. It was a pretty great experience. Super duper expensive, no surprise, but the food was expensive. But yeah, you got good service, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But the food was mediocre at best. I feel like I probably could make that myself, wasn't that special, but for the service and experience, I guess it was somewhat worth it. My buddy really had a great time. He really likes the brand, so he was so happy and pleased with the restaurant. But I was like underwhelmed. But yeah, that's kind of Milan. The next day, I packed up early and went to the train station and jumped on a train to Verona. Because at Verona, they got a place called Castelvecchio. And if you haven't heard about that, it's made by a really famous Italian architect named Scarpa. That's his last name, at least. Carlo Scarpa, that's his name. And there's Castelvecchio, which is kind of like a crazy project by him. It's a transformation project from this old castle. It's a museum where displaying different pieces, and he had designed it, and was kind of just a non-stop designing process because he kept on coming with new ideas even during the building process. So it's just a crazy piece of architecture, the whole the building. So we took a train to get there. I got to read a little bit. I finished one of my books, Recursion, I think it was the name. It was a cool book. I finished the book. We went to Verona, visited Castelvecchio. I got to look around in Verona a little bit. It felt kind of like a hybrid between Rome and Venice. Or no, Rome and Milan, I guess. It was more like Rome. It was more quiet, the streets. Because Milan is an intense city. There's just constantly happening something. There's always movement, always noise. It's really a tiring city. Like the 2 days I was there, I was exhausted because there were constantly things happening. I never felt like I could escape or just relax. It was always movement. The metro, the people, the streets, the cars, too much. Overwhelming place. But Verona was more calming and more resting. There were more just people walking, more relaxing place. It was pretty beautiful, but it was kind of like Milan. I'd say Milan and Rome hybrid. It's a nice expression, way to call Verona. But yeah, then I went to the train station from Verona, and I jumped on the wrong fucking train. I just sat on the train and just waited for it to start to go, because my fucking app said I was going to have to go to that platform. So I went to the platform, went on the train on that platform, waited, and all of a sudden the train is going the same way as I came from. And I realized this fucking train is about to go to fucking Milan again. And I'm going the opposite way to Venice. And I was like, oh, fuck me, man. So I asked someone on the train, like, yo, this is going to Venice, right? This is a Venice train. They were like, no, this is to Milan. I was like, oh, no. And I tried to be, like, so low-key about the whole thing. I was like, oh, it is to Milan. Oh, okay. Wait, oh, shit. Oh, well, I guess that happened. But internally, I was just screaming and dying. That was so awful. So I just had to get off the first stop I could. And I got off, and I had to check the trains, and the next train didn't go for an hour. So I had to wait at this random train station outside of Verona and wait for a new train. And the train I first booked was, I had to change in Verona again, but then I was like, you know what? I was also, I was advised to take a more expensive train, a little bit more expensive train that went directly. So I was certain I actually managed to get to Venice. So I did end up on that, but that was also delayed a little bit. So I spent a lot of time on that train station. But luckily, I got on a train and I got back to Venice, or I got to Venice. But that was kind of like a scary hiccup because I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god, this is so expensive. I get on the wrong fucking train. How can I be so damn stupid? Like, oh, it's so. Nah. I was freaking out. But like, after the fact, I realized I shouldn't have freaked out as much as I did. Because I did really freak out. I had almost a mental breakdown at the train station. Which, yeah, not so fun. But luckily, I got to Venice with a train. It was super late. It was just dark. It was super beautiful to get an introduction to the city in the dark. Anyways, but yeah, I got some tickets for the boat. Their way of transport is boats, of course. I mean, it's the city on water. So I got on a boat, took the boat around to my hostel, which was placed on an island. It was placed on an island, so to actually get there, you always had to take a boat. So luckily, I got on a boat and I got to the hostel. I met with my buddy again. He was there already because he took the right train. I decided to go solo, and that's kind of why I ended up the wrong train. So yeah, we went out, just ate some pasta on a nearby restaurant, and I just went to sleep. I was just tired after that whole experience. But yeah, the next day, went for a run. Beautiful to run in Venice by the water. Like, oh my god, you need to go on runs where you go on holiday, because it was so beautiful to run by the water and just look at the whole city. Early in the morning, you run past some fishermen just casually standing there fishing, and just see the people going to work in the morning, and the different shops receiving their goods. Just super nice to just go for a run early in the morning in different cities. So yeah, that was the first experience of the Venice. So then, from Venice, in Venice, first thing we were supposed to do was meeting at that plaza place, really famous. I just forgot the main name, but yeah, we were supposed to visit there, so I did. I met up. The hostel only served a croissant and a coffee for breakfast. I don't know, pretty like non-nutritious breakfast, but I had to eat and had paid for it, so I said like, okay, fuck it, I need to eat the croissant. So I ate the goddamn croissant. It was pretty good. I really liked the croissant. I hadn't eaten like that kind of food in years. So it's pretty nice to eat the croissant. I really like to say that the croissant is so nice word. Croissant. It's a pretty nice word. It's pretty tasty too. I like that. Croissant. But yeah. After that, I ate the croissant. Took the boat over to the meeting place. We met up, and then we were split into 3 groups with different tutors. So I got the chill tutor, who just kind of said like, okay, what do you guys want to do? And we're like, I don't know. Aren't you supposed to have a plan? I guess he didn't really. So we just took a random boat and just looked around. It was so chill. We looked at the bridge, the super famous bridge with different stores on top. Yeah, I just took pictures of strangers, like street photography. Awesome. I got some great pictures from it. I was really happy with my photos. We drew some of the buildings, like a church and different things. Yeah, we just took the boat around and just looked at random places and walked in different streets. And when we're finished, me and some other girls from the group, we just went to some vintage store and just explored the city, freestyle. And that was also super cool because no matter where you go in Venice, it's going to be beautiful. Like everything is beautiful. No matter where you are, it's just beautiful. It's so nice. It's like the most beautiful city you could probably be in. And yeah, I really like the city. It was nice to just walk around. Like no cars, no traffic. It was so nice. So yeah. We then met up with some other people, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, we met up with a class because we were supposed to meet up for drinks hosted by the tutors, which was super cool. We got some wine from the tutor, just from some cups. So we just stood by the side of a church drinking a boxed, like juice boxed wine from juice boxes. It was pretty crazy. So we were just like given so much wine from the teachers in Venice because why not? So we drank from these small plastic cups. And then we went out to eat. It's super hard to find a place to eat when a whole group of like, I don't know, 30 people. To find a place that could host everybody, impossible. So we split up, and then we split up again, and then we split up even more, and we got a place to eat. So we ate, and that's kind of that evening. I then was about to return home, or to the hostel, and I've just followed Google Maps, like everybody does nowadays. We can't live around without our mobile phones or Google. And I was told to go to this one stop. And when I went to the stop, the Google Maps just didn't say any time the boat would go. So I looked at the screens and it said, oh, no boats are going after 8. And I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god, what? What? Holy shit. What? I can't get to the hostel because the hostel is on an island. And I was just dying again inside. I called my mom and I was on the edge of a fucking breakdown again because I was scared I wasn't able to go to the hostel. Yeah, I was just freaking out so much. It was awful. I was so scared to having to pay for a taxi or just sleep on the street and not get into the hostel. But I decided to, you know what? I need to check out some different stops. And it seems like, oh, it was just like the one stop I decided to go to. The boat didn't go at that time. But every other stop that was there, it went all the time. There were night boats. Of course there was. And I felt so fucking dumb. I overreacted like crazy. With reason though. But yeah, that was just not a fun experience. It ended well. I got to the other side, but God, and Google Maps just said, oh, nothing is going right now. But as soon as I moved to another stop, all of a sudden Google Maps said, oh, you can't just take the night boat. Like, what the fuck, Google? Fuck you, misleading pieces of shit. But yeah, goddamn Google, fix your game. But yeah, I got to the other side and I got to sleep. Nice, thank you. Thank God. Next day, went for a run again. And that morning we were supposed to meet at the famous Venice Biennale. Or, yeah, Biennale? I don't know how you say it in English, actually. The Bien? I don't know. But yeah, we're supposed to meet there. The Architectural Biennale. Bien. For fuck's sake. It's also the same area where they have the Venice Film Festival. You probably know it, at least if you like movies. Like me, I love movies. I love that kind of things. But yeah, they were like architecture, so there were different houses designed like representing different countries, and they were like designed by special architects from around the world. So just a whole like amusement park basically for architects. Just a bunch of different structures made by different architects. Yeah, so just a bunch of random ass buildings placed around, and inside there were different exhibitions about mainly architecture, but because the climate is such a big topic nowadays, every single exhibition was pretty much about the climate. So yeah, you could walk inside the houses and you look at the different architecture from different architects. Yeah, it was a cool place. I don't have that much to say about it, except there were cool exhibitions and a lot of different buildings. So yeah, then we went to a little garden cafe. It was really cute. There was like a glass house with plants inside. There was like a nice outside area. It was awful to be there though, because if you're around that area or around the park or something, there's so many fucking flies that attacks you. Like, you can't be alone without being attacked by flies. The flies were so aggressive, so it was impossible to actually like sit down in any parks in Venice because there were just flies all over the place. So that was not fun, but it was nice. Anyways, so we went out again to get some food. Yeah, got some food, ate. I left again early. I actually knew where to go to take the boat this time, so I got home at the hostel, all nice. Next day, same thing, went for a run, ate my goddamn croissant. Went to a supermarket because the croissant isn't enough food for me, so I bought some baguette and croissant. It's just, I love those words. It's just so nice to say. So I bought some baguettes and some meat, like ham and cheese. I made my own little sandwich, super cheap if you just buy it from a supermarket. So I made me another breakfast, basically, and then I met up at basically part 2 of the whole Biennale area. Yeah, where there are more, like, different houses representing different countries, but also other exhibitions of different things. But there's mainly just a lot of different places that represent different countries, where the countries like exhibit different subjects made by different artists and studios and that kind of stuff. And it was kind of cool to see. Not that much else to say about that area. It's kind of just more a place you just visit and experience yourself. It's definitely some place you should go when you're there, because yeah. So from that, I went out and just had a walk around the city and got to know the place a little bit more. There's like a place close to the Biennale that have like some giant hands. Were super cool. I don't know how tall they were, probably like 10-15 meters tall. Just some big ass hands that was holding together like 5 sets of hands that made different like hand shapes, I guess, which was pretty cool over the water. Looked pretty nice. And then I took the boat. I took the wrong boat. In my good old trip fashion, I took the wrong thing again. So I went on a completely different island, like half an hour with boat away from the main island. I freaked out again, not as much, because I luckily got on the boat pretty quickly and got back. But still, I got on the wrong boat again. Yeah, super fun. And then I walked to, because I really wanted to visit the Jewish ghetto. I don't know why, but I really wanted to visit it. Because it's like supposed to be Europe's first ghetto. So I thought it was pretty cool. There's like no people there. I don't think a lot of people know about it. I was recommended by an old teacher that there were good food over there. So I kind of just wanted to visit the place and see what this ghetto was all about. It's not so much special there. I guess it was kind of just cool. I was at a ghetto. Why not? The first ghetto in Europe. Why not? And from there, I just walked around. And that time, we were supposed to have some evening drinks again with the tutors. So I went to that thing. I had some drinks with them, and then we went to eat. And then I went to bed. The others went out to dance and club, but people started to get drunk and shit. And I was not like, I'm not crazy about that kind of things, to go out and get drunk, because I like to have conversation with people, and people like get shit faced, and all conversation I have with people, they don't remember. So I talk with people like days later, and they're like, wait, what? We talked about that? I never talk about that. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring up what you talk about when you're drunk. I didn't know. I thought we were having like a memorable conversation, but I guess not. So I don't really fuck with that kind of things, which is sad. I don't know. It's just kind of dumb. But yeah. So I just went to bed, honestly. And the next day, was kind of just eating my croissant. No run that morning. And get on the bus to the airport and get home. Really? Yeah. What was kind of crazy when I left Venice, because when I got there, I took the train, right, in the evening. But so I didn't really like get to see the outside before I entered Venice. It was just dark, and then I'm in Venice. But when I left, it was the morning, so I took the bus. So all of a sudden, you are taking the bus, and you are starting to see cars. You're on a long highway, like a long bridge, and then you're seeing cars, and then all of a sudden, the air is like foggy, and it looks dirty, and then you're introduced with this like really like a lot of buildings and apartments and factories, and like it really felt like a real reality hit. Like all of a sudden reality hits. You're leaving this fairy tale island with just boats and beautiful buildings all over the place and just beauty, and then all of a sudden it's just reality hit. Factories, apartments, foggy air, cars, industry, just shit. As soon as you left, which was like a big contrast from Venice. But yeah, that was kind of just my experience, I think. Like, if I'm going to just sum it up like that, all in all, it was a pretty good experience. It was fun. I definitely recommend visiting them. Don't be there for too long, though, because I personally really had a bad time with air quality. I realized later that the air quality was really bad in all of the places I visited, like one of the worst in Europe or the world. And I did feel it, because I had hard to breathe halfway into the trip. I had hard time breathing, and my throat were like swollen, and yeah, it was just hard to be there after a while being in Italy. But as soon as I left, I got back to Denmark. I had so much easier time to breathe again, and things felt more fresh. So I definitely couldn't be there longer. But it was a nice time. It was great. The people are nice, and it's just beautiful country. Like, honestly, like, just go there if you can. It's easier for me to say because I'm in Europe. I know for some Americans and everybody else that's not from Europe, it's probably harder to visit that kind of places. But it's definitely worthwhile. So, yeah, that's pretty much my Italy trip with my class. So, yeah, that's it. That's my trip to Italy. I went to Milan, I went to Verona, took the wrong train, but then I went to Venice, and then I got back to Denmark. And now I'm back at school, and we are continuing doing everything. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this story of my Italy tour uh, trip. I mean, and I hope you have a great day, and I hope you stay tuned for the next one. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Croissant.